Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2605 This Universe 1. Ling warned Zhang Yi not to enter the etheric world too often, lest he become part of the ether and be unable to return to the material world. Zhang Yi rubbed his temples, a faint smile on his face. Before I am assimilated, I have some questions I want to ask. And I feel that coming here will bring me inner peace and allow me to be elevated. Ling suddenly smiled. You've found the crux of the problem. Although the ether is a dangerous place for life in the material world, it is a necessary step to complete the transformation. This is the only way to Omega. When you see the cracks in the world and realize the futility of your own existence, you still choose to love this fictional world. Zhang Yi shrugged and said, I just want to be true to myself. I'm too lazy to think about anything else right now. By the way, I've run into a little trouble. I've hit a plateau in my skills. Can you tell me how to improve them? Zhang Yi voiced the question that had been on her mind. You have developed your abilities in the realm of time very well, and there's no need to worry about them being restrained. That's a divine technique from the fourth dimension. Silicon-based creations cannot withstand its causal rebound. Zhang Yi nodded. Indeed, those armed battle maidens could shake space, but they couldn't stop him from observing the future. I think I have great potential for development in the field of space. But I don't know exactly how to do it. You should understand that once someone gets used to staying in their comfort zone, it's very difficult to change. Zhang Yi revealed his biggest problem. But as I became stronger, the opponents I faced also became stronger, and my abilities were no longer as useful as they used to be. This is something that worries me a lot. Can you tell me what the problem is? Ling looked at Zhang Yi and pointed out his shortcomings in a light-hearted manner. What you did before was like building a tower from grains of sand. It seemed like an impregnable defense, but in reality it was full of loopholes, and the methods you used were extremely clumsy. Have you ever thought about this? What exactly is your personal space? One sentence plunged Zhang Yi into a long silence. What exactly is his space? He didn't really know. He only knew that it existed after he awakened his ability. It was a vast void where nothing existed, and even the flow of time was completely different from the outside world. In the past, he had been curious about it, but as long as the ability was useful, he didn't care about those things. After all, there are just too many strange and wonderful things in this world. However, Ling's words made him realize one thing. If he wanted to reach a higher level, he had to understand the essence of things. Ling continued, you need to learn to measure yourself from a higher perspective, understand your own existence, and the source of your abilities. To integrate knowledge, apply it to other situations, and understand not only what it is, but also why it is so. Only in this way can you truly master your own power. As for the answer to the question, only you know it, and only you can find it. Zhang Yi remained silent, pondering the meaning behind Ling's words. What exactly is his ability? What is the essence of another dimension? Is it a spatial fold in the entire universe, or a dimensional rift? No, none of those are true. The folding of space is essentially the distortion of a space, concealing it within. However, it cannot affect the flow of time in the material world. Whether it's the Celestial Palace, the inner world of Mars, or the Dragon Kingdom, time has never changed. Zhang Yi raised his thoughts, slowly looking down at himself and examining himself. He was analyzing everything about himself, as if he were looking at a robot. The etheric ocean is like a boundless night tide, with wickless lights floating in it. Each light is a remnant of a civilization's longing, extremely light and extremely bright, yet their mutual attraction is so weak as to be almost non-existent. His spirit wandered in the ocean of ether, lost in the world, contemplating itself. He seemed to see the universe from its birth, expansion, contraction, and eventual destruction. He also gained insight into the twists and turns of life from his past experiences. Joy, loss, longing, farewell. Every word carries a broad power between people and things. After an unknown amount of time, Zhang Yi suddenly gained a clearer understanding of the situation regarding those who were observing him. The alternate dimension I control does not exist in this universe, nor in the material world. He shouted this in his heart with certainty. My source of power comes from the netherworld. It is this universe, which transcends the material world created by the creator, Kagago. Therefore, he was able to obtain the power of antimatter from the endless void. Therefore, his alternate dimension has a time flow rate that is completely different from that of the surface universe. Zhang Yi suddenly understood. He used to think that this universe was a wasteland where nothing existed. It was the creator Kagago who created everything with his own power. But if the original universe really didn't exist at all, what was the point of Kagago observing it? The answer to everything is this. This universe also possesses its own power. My alternate dimension is connected to the original space of this universe. The universe is the canvas, and Kagago is the painter, creating art on it. As a result, people can only see the painting and ignore the canvas itself. What I have opened has always been a passage to this universe. That is to say, the dark side of the universe. At that moment, Zhang Yi finally became certain of the source of his abilities. My mind is clear, and I no longer have any doubts or uncertainty about my own abilities. After taking the step, Zhang Yi immediately began to develop and enhance his own abilities. In the distance, the ball of light, as bright as the moon, emanated a soft glow from Ling's true form. Ling gazed at Zhang Yi's small spirit body with a curious and intrigued look. The self-will born from this universe, the chosen one? It's really exciting to see what kind of changes he will bring to the world. Zhang Yi raised his hand, his 5 fingers spread out, and a very thin black shadow fell between his fingers, which was the hair of the netherworld tide. Instead of summoning the entire underground river as he usually did, he only drew a strand and embedded it into the newly woven spatial membrane. His dimensional gate collapsed and closed, transforming into a cloak shimmering with starlight, which slowly enveloped Zhang Yi's body. It is no longer just a spatial boundary, but has transformed into a peaceful and tranquil state that can soothe all forces. Zhang Yi slowly exhaled. The explosive agitation in his chest subsided, and a light sense of peace rose in his heart.
Chapter 2606 This Universe Though. The morning light in the abandoned city was stretched long by the artificial sun, making the buildings look like rows of thin, bony flags. Zhang Yi opened his eyes, stood up on the fluffy carpet, patted the dust off his body, and a hazy glow appeared on his skin. In the final moment of seclusion, it was as if a layer of fog had been peeled away from my chest, and all the confusion and bewilderment of the past completely disappeared. He has realized his true self. Avoiding fate and karma, all kinds of shackles bind the true self. Following fate and karma, only today do I know who I am. Today I understand the Tao and see the true self. Why fear the old shackles of the past? The shackles of the world are but a dream, formless, without form and without self. No matter how many times you read Wang Yangming's The Philosophy of Mind, it will always give you a feeling of sudden enlightenment. No wonder he was a master who gained extraordinary abilities through self-awareness 600 years ago. Zhang Yi pushed open the door and stepped out, his footsteps landing on the metal corridor, the sound even softer than before. Yang Xingxin looked up first, and when she saw Zhang Yi, there was a moment of surprise in her eyes. Brother Zhang Yi, you've changed. Your breathing is more steady than before, and your aura is different too. She smiled gently. You must have crossed some kind of boundary. Zhang Yi rubbed his temples and smiled gently. I've figured it out a bit. Anyway, now we can go see our old friends again. An old friend? Fatigue Shu, who was eating while holding a nutrition canister, immediately leaned over and asked, You mean those armored, lifelike, Cough. Armed battle maidens? Okay. Jhangi nodded. Let's go to the city of Yellow Sands. This time, let's test my new ability. During his 2-week seclusion, he did more than just learn new abilities. Because he needed to target a specific opponent, he was also reflecting on the previous battle. He used the intelligence system on the demon god armor to record the entire battle, played it repeatedly, and studied their fighting habits. Jhangi couldn't help but sigh in admiration. They were indeed very strong. Moreover, they will constantly evolve during battles, becoming stronger the longer the battle lasts. And their tactics against specific targets will become more incisive. Freeman pulled his wide-brimmed hat down. The screen went static for a moment, then cleared up again, and he smiled politely and solicitously. This time we are counting on you. The Sandstalker's guard robots are really tough to beat. I know, but this time, I'm confident. Jhangi raised his hand, and a dark gold pattern lit up in his palm, as if the space had been drawn in there by an invisible pen. The dimensional gate opened silently, and Jhangi stepped inside, followed closely by everyone else. Soon after, the entire group crossed the sandstorm and landed on the outskirts of the city of Yellow Sand. The sky remained the same white, flattened by the artificial sun, with sand and steel outlining a blunt, gleaming blade on the horizon. The world on Mars seems to be dead, and the artificial sun hanging in the sky remains eternally suspended at the horizon. It was as if time would never change, and everything in this world, except for Jhangi and his group, would remain the same. We are back. Freeman lowered his voice. They'll find us soon. As soon as the words were spoken, thousands of guard robots sprang into action simultaneously from the gaps in the corridors, behind the sand dunes, and between the broken towers. The metallic pupils shone with a dangerous red light, and the energy shields opened simultaneously with a hum. Intruder detected. Execute the expulsion order. The usual. Jhangi turned his head and pointed around. Uncle Yu, Lying Yue, Fatty, and Kiran, you guys handle these guys. Leave it to us. Uncle Yu responded in a deep voice. The alloy plate in his chest opened and closed, and hundreds of energy cannons extended from his back and forearms, his shoulder line as stable as a turret. Lying Yue drew her dragon roar longsword, the back of which was as cold as fresh snow. She smiled and said, I really like this kind of hard steel bone. It's perfect for cutting. Fatty Kshu gulped down a mouthful of his drink, exhaling a misty breath, and his palms quickly turned icy. Leave the control of the situation to me. They each rushed to a battle line to clear a path for Jhangi, preventing any of the Sand Slayer's guard robots from interfering with his advance. Mechanical flying crows rose up from behind Lu Karen like a black tide, pressing down on the outer edge of the city like dark clouds. A symphony of metal and frost, a collision of blades and lasers, exploded into a dense array of bright spots above the city. Jhangi did not turn around. He stepped into the plaza where he had once clashed with the War Maiden. His toes lightly brushed against the sand, making a barely audible sound. He stopped and looked around. It's time to show up. He smiled and spoke softly. A moment later, 13 beams of light leaped out simultaneously from the shadows of the tall building. Those were 13 armed battle maidens, their armor sections pieced together like flower petals, their eyes marked with thin red lines, and their backs folded with deformable wing panels. Their landing points were lined up in a row, like an array of reeds swaying silently in the wind. Every armed battle maiden looked at Jhangi with only a cold stare. Intruder locked. Execute level Dou interception. Erase. Bido issued the order to eliminate Jhangi. Their voices were unified and calm. The next second, an energy pulse lit up simultaneously in each of the 13 chest cavities, and the air was squeezed by an invisible hand. Bus! The arc-shaped shockwaves surrounded Jhangi, and the light and shadow in the space could be seen twisting and piling up. Spatial oscillation wave. These Sandstalker civilizations' advanced mechanical life form employs a countermeasure specifically designed to counter space-based aliens. The surface of the square resembled a torn film, with a ring of grayish-white wrinkles around the edges. Last time, this move shook Senluo Wangxiang's defenses, weakening them time and time again until Zheng Yi's palms were sweating. This time, however, Zheng Yi did not dodge. His eyes were incredibly calm.
But he had no intention of standing still and taking a beating. Instead, he chose to take the initiative. With a sudden movement of his feet, the air darkened slightly, and he vanished from the spot. The next instant, his hand was already on the forehead armor of a battle maiden. It was an approach without warning. Space travel also involves a 0.01 second process from opening the door to passing through. This time, however, it was a complete teleportation, without any warning, leaving the opponent completely unprepared. He quietly appeared in front of the armed battle maiden. The war maiden reacted extremely quickly. The instant Zhang Yi arrived in front of her, before she could even be surprised, the wing panels on her back had already risen up rapidly, and the heavy armor on her shoulders flipped open, revealing shoulder cannons. But it was all too late. Zhang Yi clenched his fingers, his palm opening like an invisible door, and pressed directly onto her head, as gently as a lover's caress. A thin black ripple appeared on the edge of the Valkyrie's helmet as Zhang Yi forcefully pulled her towards his body. A shocking scene unfolded. Her body seemed to be devoured, rapidly merging into Zhang Yi's body. She felt as if she had been swallowed into an invisible layer of water. Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.